when you're in your isolation period, you have to realize that time is for you to go through the emotions. And until you take the time to just accept the fact that you may not be feeling okay, or you may not be happy, or that you have righteous anger, or that you're tired, you're fatigued, you feel how you feel, it's constantly going to be a battle. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, High Guidance, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, of course, there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, so always take what resonates, leave the rest, as well as grabbing yourself a pen, a paper, your utensils, and taking what resonates, leave the rest, and taking notes. In this video, we're going to go over 5 recommendations in order for you to be aware of when you're in your isolation period, so you don't feel like you're losing your mind or that there's something wrong with you. The first thing is acknowledging that there's nothing necessarily wrong with you, but when you've been experienced and exposed to trauma and traumatic situations, it affects you. It affects how you think. It affects how you live your life. It affects how you react and respond. It affects you psychologically, emotionally, physically, spiritually, intuitively, howeverly, psychologically, consciously, subconsciously, etc. Doctorly, one man, one sound. So you have to realize that when you are going through certain situations and they're negative, and let's just say you don't have the family, you don't have the friends, you don't have the support, you don't have the guidance, you don't have the wisdom, you don't have the resources and the tools, automatically you could feel discouraged. Automatically we shrink ourselves. Automatically we feel minute. You have to realize that if you are handling your situations alone, other than believing in God, ancestors, in the universe, if you do, if you don't, I'm not here to force religion or spirituality onto you, you're dealing with a lot of weight. And nobody knows what it takes to be you, so nobody knows how you feel. So you have to realize that you're just living life for the first time. Now, without getting too far into the rabbit hole about past lives and previous lives and etc., all you have control over is what you do in this life, in this current reality. You have to realize that if this is your first time living in this body, in this century, in this era, that you only know what you've been exposed to. And unfortunately, if you haven't been exposed to love and abundance and healing and confidence and just being better and having discernment, you made certain choices or certain people took advantage of you. And instead of beating yourself up for not knowing what you've had to learn in your isolation period or what you learn now over time, accepting that you used to do certain things and that it is okay. And the reason why it's okay is because we can't go back in time. Your isolation period is for you to grieve and go through the withdrawals of you being touched on at an early age, being beaten on, having people make fun of you, being bullied, anything that was traumatic, being fired, being homeless, losing friends, losing loved ones, losing yourself. That time is for you to release all the people, all the places, all the limited beliefs, the mindsets, and the behaviors, and for you to figure out who you are. And the second thing you have to realize is when you are in this isolation and you are figuring out who you are, you have to do what makes sense to you. So as your favorite mental health specialist on this account, we recommend information. Nobody necessarily gets to tell you what you should and should not do if these are not people that you look up to, that you admire, or that you resonate with. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that you close off listening to people, because even people you may not be compatible with or people who are opposite of you may not necessarily are in alignment with you, but certain things they tell you you may want to avoid or that you can learn from. So always be teachable, because you can learn from any and everybody. But you have to realize when you're figuring out who you are, you have to do what makes you happy. And because grieving is not a one size fit all, it could take years. Healing from a significant amount of trauma, especially if that's how you were raised, especially if that's what you've been exposed to, especially if you haven't been taught or shown any other way, takes time. You have to realize that when you're in your isolation period, you are unlearning everything that you no longer want to resonate with. Then you have to learn new things that you want to experience in this life and who you want to become, which means you have to learn how to be patient. It's only uncomfortable because it's time for you to let go of what you used to do and who you used to be. And learning to forgive yourself takes time. Because a lot of times, once you learn to accept that certain people did what they did because of their own internal issues and their own insecurities, a lot of times we end up getting disappointed in ourselves. And learning to forgive yourself takes a lot of courage. Learning to forgive yourself for maybe not having boundaries, maybe for not speaking up, maybe allowing certain things to happen, or always feeling the need to defend yourself takes time. But you don't need to rush your isolation process, because when you try to rush your isolation process, if things do not work out how it's supposed to in the significant time in the season, it's not going to happen. And it's just going to get you more frustrated and overwhelmed. And I'm speaking from experience. Anytime I've ever felt the need, and this is why I've learned to just surrender, to stay still, to take every single day for what it is and just be present in the moment, is because anytime, which I don't do this often because I've learned already, I would like try to go out my way to rush things, or just try to be somewhere that I wasn't meant to be at the right time, or just say and do certain things. It always came back, and it was just like, I'm not going anywhere. So the best thing that's helped me along my healing journey was just accept that, you know what, I have to go through this. And yes, you may feel uncomfortable. Yes, it's unfamiliar. Yes, when you're in your isolation period, people, places, and things get removed. It's learning to adapt, learning to trust yourself, learning to trust whatever it is that you believe in. Like, once again, if you do believe in God, ancestors, and universe, that's when you build the relationship. If you didn't have a relationship before previously, take what resonates, leave the rest. Learning to trust yourself, learning to realize, okay, these situations only happen to me because I was either A, doing this, or B, I wasn't doing this. Either C, I was reacting and responding this way, or D, I was defending myself, or etc. You know what you've gone through. You know how it makes you feel. So the fourth thing you have to realize is not allowing anything or anybody to make you feel bad about what you've gone through, how much time it took you to heal or to move on from certain things, and most importantly, not allowing any other choices or what people consider to be mistakes or regrets to resurface or to come back into your reality. The whole purpose of your isolation period is for you to figure out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you had to let go of, and most importantly, why. And in this isolation period, you need to take the time to yourself, and you need to rest. So an examples of rest could be physically resting, like sleeping, taking naps. You don't have to work hard every day, all day, every day. There's this hustle mentality to be burning out and to be slaves. All shade, all tea. Our ancestors, our grandparents, and generations before us did that. We don't have to do that in the year of 2025. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that you don't work at all. But if you work your entire life and you burn yourself out, you will end up not being happy. And you could look at the statistics, and you could just look at how the world is playing out, especially right now during these times. A lot of people who are older and like from older generations talk about how they wish they had time to be with their families and to enjoy life. Like I said, I'm not saying that you don't work, because if you don't work, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself, but have balance. Like when you're not at work, don't be so concerned about working. And once again, this is something that you have to practice, and it takes time, but it's just like, learn to live life is what I'm trying to say. Learn to live life. Learn to live life. When you're resting, sleep. When you don't have to work, don't talk about work. If you have time for yourself, watch movies. Go outside. Do things that are productive. Do things that make you joyful. Do things that uplift your spirit. You could watch TV. You could go to the park. You can go get ice cream. You could treat yourself. Like, you have to learn to take care of yourself. And that's what you're learning in your isolation period. You can meditate. You could go to Pilates. You could exercise. Whatever financially makes sense to you, whatever mentally makes sense to you, and whatever makes sense to your emotions. You have to learn how to have balance in your life, because that's what you have to realize. Just because you went through all these bad things doesn't mean that life has to be so bad and so horrible, but you won't be able to understand that until you realize, okay, how serious life is. Like, a lot of people don't take their life seriously. And unfortunately, it's not until you're in your isolation period that you realize this is not a joke. Like, a lot of people say things in life are fake. Social media is fake. It's not fake. It's very much so real. Now, of course, what's being advertised and people having these fake perceptions and these alter egos, that's a different topic for a different video. But it is real. If it wasn't real, we wouldn't be on it. We wouldn't use it. Your life is real. The earth is real. The sun is real. The moon is real. The ocean is real. You are a real person. This is real. And once you realize that your life is real, you have to take it seriously at certain times. you're not going to continue to make certain choices. So in your isolation period, learn to build a relationship with yourself. Learn to get closer to your God, ancestors, and universe. Learn to grieve, cry. Like, I cry a lot. And a lot of people don't realize people who cry a lot are extremely empathetic, and they're the most beautiful, most genuine people on this earth. People think that when you cry that you're weak. That's not true. And I'm not a robot. You're not a robot. Like, stay away from people who are so hard-bodied, who are so cold-hearted and have become evil and wicked. Because the most evil, wickedest people on this earth, they don't cry. They act like they're too good to have emotions. And that's unhealthy. Those people need the most mental health and the most guidance. And I'm here to talk about it because I'm not afraid of anybody. Those people need help. Cry. Cry. You have to verbally acknowledge. You have to verbally articulate how you feel, how certain situations affect you. Because when you hold up this energy, you end up crashing out. You end up going to jail. You end up going to prison. You end up DEAD. You end up hurting yourself, hurting other people. You end up sabotaging connections and relationships and opportunities with yourself and other people because you're so hell-bent over your past. And I'm speaking from experience. Had I would have the same mindset that certain people are a certain type of way and certain things were going to happen to me, I would not be able to be in the position that I'm in right now and have connectionships and be in relationships with people who genuinely love me and appreciate me and who see me for who I am. People who judge you, people who talk badly about you, those are not your focus. Those are not the people that are for you. The people who try to take from your life and never poured into you, you don't need to worry about them no more. You know now that just because you're a good person, just because you're a loving person, doesn't make you stupid, doesn't make you naive, doesn't make you a horrible person. It just made you realize, okay, who deserves my time and energy? Who deserves my body? Who deserves my mind? Who deserves my soul? Once you realize certain people are losers, because some of them are losers, all to y'all shade, you don't have to feed into them. People know what they do, and so do you. So it's just like when you're in your isolation period, relax. Because when you try to go against your isolation period, when you try to go against the divine seasoning and divine timing, if you say you believe in certain things, like I said, it's real. Baby girl, baby boy, it's real. Stop trying to fight yourself because that's all you're doing. Psychologically, you're causing warfare within yourself. Mentally, you're causing warfare within yourself. You're causing confusion within yourself when you go against yourself and not learn to trust your intuition or God, ancestors, the universe, if you believe in those things. When you don't talk about how you feel, when you try to suppress how you feel, you end up crashing out. You end up becoming angry and bitter. And most importantly, you end up suffering from PTSD. You end up continuing to be anxious and have anxiety and ADHD and BTD and 1, 2, 3 and all these labels and attachments. They're labels and attachments. You are able to overcome these labels and attachments if you're willing to go through the work, if you're willing to show up for yourself. And of course, it may not be easy, which I don't like to say that, but for just general purposes, it may not seem easy in the beginning because you're not used to doing it. When you grew up in a toxic, dysfunctional, low vibrational environment and that's all you knew and you decide to heal yourself, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be easily triggered and easily challenged. So you may feel like, oh, this is so hard. That's like anything you do for the first time. If you decide to lose weight, it may seem hard to cut off certain foods, to stop drinking sodas, to stop going out to eat. And when you learn how to learn a new language, you're just like, oh, I can never get it. When you're going back to school and you have to do all those exams and stuff, it's pressure. You have to realize if you want certain things, if you want to be a certain person, you have to go through certain things. And that's what your isolation period is for. It's for you to figure out who you are, to rest, release anything that's no longer serving you, and just understand what you want to do so you have clarity. So moving forward, when it's time for you to get out your isolation period, because you're not going to be in your isolation season forever, you know what to do moving accordingly, and you can sustain and receive the things that you prayed for and that you worked for. So I'm going to end off the video with that. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. Thank you for engaging and liking and sharing and commenting, and most importantly, turning on your post notifications. Thank you for following me on all social media platforms. All the information will be down in the description box below. Thank you for booking the service and a session at my website. It's also going to be in the description at TiGunsTerSummer.com. And once again, thank you guys for DMing me, letting me know what topics you guys want to talk about on my Instagram and following me there. I do go live on Instagram and TikTok until we're able to reach our goal here on YouTube, which we'll be reaching very soon. And thank you for letting me know in the comment sections what you guys want to talk about, as well as the community section. Let me know if you have any questions or comments or concerns about this video in particularly, or you want me, to talk about things in the future. Okay, until next time, peace.